Hi, I'm Peter Koo, an assistant professor at the Simon Center for Quantitative Biology at Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory. The title of my talk is Can We Trust Deep Learning Predictions in Genomics? This work is in collaboration with Matthew Ploenzke. Deep learning shows great promise to revolutionize data analysis for genomics. One area is on uncovering the functional impact of mutations in the non-coding region of the genome. The approach by many in this field is to train a deep learning model on genomic sequences and have it learn an associated regulatory function, such as TF binding and chromatin accessibility. A trained model that makes accurate predictions can be employed to predict new sequences with mutations, which can inform us of which mutations affect these regulatory functions. In principle, this can help to prioritize which disease-associated variants are worth follow-up experimental validation. Despite excellent performance, the main issue with deep learning is that we don't fully understand them, so a lingering question remains: should we trust their predictions? One way to bridge this gap is through attribution methods, which aim to identify features in the input that are important for the modeled predictions. There are many ways of achieving this. The most natural in genomics is in silico mutagenesis. There are many other attribution methods as well, including saliency maps, integrated gradients, and deep SHAP. It's unclear which attribution method is more reliable and what factors affect them. Here we investigate the role that architecture, activation function, and training procedure has on model interpretability given an attribution method. In order to make a quantitative comparison, we generated synthetic sequences with embedded motifs according to a billboard model assist regulation. 3 to 6 motifs are embedded in a purely random sequence model. Motifs for positive label sequences are sampled randomly with replacement from a set of 5 core motifs, while negative labeled sequences are sampled from a larger pool of background motifs. The dataset consists of 20,000 sequences, randomly split into a training, validation, and test set. We designed 2 different convolutional neural networks, CNN-DIST and CNN-local. CNN-local is a shallow network that is specifically designed to learn motif representations in the first convolutional layer, while CNN-DIST is a deep neural network that is designed to learn distributed representations of motifs, meaning that deeper layers build the motifs in a hierarchical manner. Using these 2 networks as a base model, we explore different activation functions only in the first layer, while maintaining ReLU activations throughout deeper layers. Here is a list of the standard activations that we used. Since we have ground truth, we can quantify the efficacy of an attribution map. We do so by generating a distribution of attribution scores at the positions where motifs are embedded, and we compare it against the distribution of attribution scores at other locations, that is, where motifs are not embedded. We use the area under the ROC curve to provide a summary statistic to describe the separation of these 2 distributions. We refer to this value as the interpretability AUROC. For each activation function, we trained each model 10 times with different random initializations. The scatter plot on the left shows a comparison of the classification performance on held-out test data for CNN-DIST versus CNN-local. Clearly, CNN-DIST consistently achieves a higher AUC compared to CNN-local. On the right is a scatter plot comparing the interpretability AUROC based on saliency maps for the 2 models. You can now see that the tables have turned. CNN-local is more interpretable compared to CNN-DIST. What this shows is that models that yield higher performance on test data do not necessarily imply better interpretability with attribution methods. Is this really just a matter of deep versus shallow, or is it because we designed CNN-local to learn robust motif representations in the first layer, while CNN-DIST learns distributed representations, and we simply cannot verify whether it learns a noisy or robust motif representations in its deeper layers? Recently, my lab has discovered that applying an exponential activation function to the first layer of a CNN consistently leads to robust motif representations in first layer filters. This is irrespective of the CNN's depth. Strikingly, the exponential activation consistently leads to improved model interpretability with saliency maps, even for CNN-DIST, which now has the best interpretability and classification performance, the best of both worlds. Now, some of you are probably saying saliency maps are not necessarily the best interpretability approach. So here's a comparison of the interpretability AUROC for CNN local at the top, CNN dist at the bottom, with ReLU activations on the left and exponential activations on the right using in silico mutagenesis, integrated gradients, and deep SHAT. Strikingly, exponential activations consistently lead to improved interpretability compared to ReLU activations across all tested attribution methods. Now you may be thinking this could just be some artifact in the synthetic dataset. So here I'm showing you 3 different neural network models trained on in vivo biological data. The first one, a sequence logo for a saliency map generated by a Bassett model with exponential activations at the top and ReLU activations below. Below that is a similar comparison for residual bind models trained on ChIP-seq data for ZBED2 and IRF1. The classification performance, shown on the left, is nearly the same, but models with exponential activations consistently lead to better representations of motifs and less spurious attribution noise, a phenomenon that's consistent with the results from our synthetic data. Over the past few years, an exciting area of deep learning research has focused on its robustness properties. Szigeti et al. Showed that a state-of-the-art classifier for object recognition can be easily fooled by adversarial examples, thus demonstrating that neural network predictions can be incredibly fragile. One solution to make neural networks more robust is to train them with adversarial examples. This is called adversarial training, and it leads to some very intriguing properties, such as a smoother fitted function and improved interpretability with attribution methods. It's been recently shown that adversarial training also encourages learning more robust features. Indeed, we find that adversarial training of CNN dist leads to improved interpretability, almost as good as CNN dist with exponential activations. I want to remind you that exponential activations and CNN local is a design principle that provides an inductive bias to learn robust motif representations in the first layer filters, whereas adversarial training promotes robust features via a training procedure. The common denominator here is that learning robust motif representations lead to improved interpretability. So the take-home message is neural networks may yield accurate predictions on test data, but may not necessarily provide trustworthy interpretability with attribution methods. And neural networks that learn robust features yield improved interpretability with attribution methods. And we can achieve this with design principles, such as the exponential activation, and via adversarial training. With that, I'd like to thank the members of my lab and my collaborators, Matt, Sharon, and Gal. And if you like the science we do, we're hiring postdocs. Check out my lab website for more info. Thank you.